The next couple of slides I think have been talked about numerous times today, and that's the KIT and KER grants, the Kansas Industrial Training Grant and the Kansas Industrial Retraining Grant. I think if you can keep at the front of your mind as you're working with companies back home or have interactions with the companies in your area, the KIT grant, the Industrial Training Grant, deals with new jobs, new growth, whether that's 1 or 100. That company qualifies within that spectrum. You can look at the averages of $300 to $500 per training. That goes towards, I call it training related expenses, whether that's the instructor, their curriculum tied to it, maybe some devices associated within that. And then the Kansas Industrial Retraining Grant, similar perspective, but it deals with existing employees. Let's say one of your companies in your area is adding a piece of new technology, a new process, a new machine to become more efficient within their facility. That would qualify them within the retraining grant. So if you hear of any of that activity going on, make the company aware, and then also get them connected to us, whether it's through Barb's group or through Susan's group or through the workforce system. As Mike mentioned, my biggest responsibility is within, I'll call it the workforce system or your workforce centers throughout the state. Within your packet is a kind of a small map of the state, but we are divided up according to federal regulations into 5 local workforce investment areas. And those 5 areas are divided up based on population, primarily, and unemployment levels within that, but primarily population basis. Within each of those 5 areas are governed by a local workforce investment board that some of you may be familiar with. On that board are representatives from service entities within those counties. 51% of the board must be made up of private business sector representatives. So you're getting that interaction of business needs, and the other portion of it is through service organizations. Just to kind of give you a little scenario of what the map meant, we actually have across the system 23 brick and mortar locations. About 5 years ago, we made a concentrated effort, and again, within the past couple years, a concentrated effort to analyze those, and we're right at 23 brick and mortar locations. Probably one of the most interesting things that we've attempted to, and had many success with, is going to what we call virtual services. We can look at the cost of a facility and the cost of utilities and everything tied to it, and a lot of the services that we deliver and we offer to businesses in Kansas can be delivered virtually. I see a lot of you have iPads within the room. We made an investment within our centers to have, I'll call it Skype on steroids, but basically a way to interact with the customer, whether that's the business or the job seeker, virtually one-on-one. And we also have the ability to push content, and that content could be helping an individual with their resume, helping a business with their posting. The nice thing that takes us beyond our system is just about every high school in Kansas has an interactive distance learning system. Just about every community and tech college within Kansas has an interactive distant learning system. Just about every library within the state of Kansas has some sort of virtual service. Our correctional facilities have some sort of interactive service, and we have the ability through a hub to connect to those locations and deliver those services. So in theory, you could be sitting here on your iPad with the proper app and deliver that service to a business or company in Colby, Kansas via the Colby Library. We also made the investment because of how we are in the state to invest in what we call a mobile workforce center. I'll call it an RV that's been tweaked, but it is actually an office that has the internet capability, 12 computers that clients can use. It has a private office that could be used for a variety of things. Primarily what we've seen it used for is interviewing, internet availability, or a classroom. We have instances where businesses will pull it onto their facility and use it for a training laboratory. We have instances where we can go to rural portions of Kansas and have job fairs, have training events, and that mobile center also has virtual services capability. Within all of this, whether it's bricks and mortar, virtually, or through the mobile center, we offer about 3 primary services, and these are very high-level, broad services. 1 is to the job seeker, 2 is to the employer, and 3 is to the youth. And we'll go into a little bit of detail on each of these. As far as job seeker resources, through the Workforce Investment Act, and if you remember back to the start of our presentation, a large percentage of our agency's budget is federal dollars. Those federal dollars come through the U.S. Department of Labor through the Workforce Investment Act and the Wagner-Pfizer Act. Our training, we have dollars available for qualifying individuals to skill up, if you will, whether that's through a short-term certification, a long-term credential. We have those funds available. We have career planning resources. We have job search resources. I would encourage you to look at kansasworks.com. That is our job search platform. It is also, selfishly behind the scenes, our database and data system. But what kansasworks.com allows the job seeker to interact or meet the Kansas business or business that's posting jobs to that platform. Very similar to monster.com or career.com or indeed.com. It brings those 2 entities together, the job seeker and the business within Kansas. The Kansas Work Ready credential is an initiative that the Department of Commerce started with about 8 years ago, and it is a credential that a job seeker, or you and I in this room, can be measured cognitively on reading, math, and locating information, and receive a platinum, gold, silver, or bronze certificate based on our scores in those areas. And what the certificate allows, it's twofold. 1, the job seeker now has her credential that identifies their level in those 3 categories. But more importantly, the business that could be hiring them has a portable credential that identifies how that customer or possible new employee is in those 3 areas. Registered apprenticeship. We also have disability resources and disability grants within our system. And also, one thing I like to tout is as, and you and I qualify for this too, it's any job seeker in Kansas can engage with the system, and whether we need help with our resume or whether we need help with job interview scenario, whether we need help with filling out electronic applications. What we're trying to do is prepare the job seeker to meet the need of the potential employer, whether that's through skilled training, resume help, interviewing help, but trying to match those 2 entities. Employer resources, we touched a little bit on the KIT and KER grants. We also have incumbent worker training grant opportunities that are available through the local workforce investment offices. A company has the ability to post or put their positions on kansasworks.com. Not only is it on that system, but we have, once the company's job is posted on the site, it then has the ability to spider out to multiple sites, and we have multiple sites spidering into us. I'll use the example, and I know we've talked about Starwood several times here today, but I will use them as an example to kind of talk about some of the things that we've done for that particular employer in Wichita. They actually have taken over the Wichita Workforce Center on 2 occasions. We became part of Starwood's HR wing. We assisted them with not only posting their jobs, but we collected applications for them. We helped with their screening process. We helped organize their interview process. And I think at one of the events they had 500 people walk through, and of those 500 they identified close to 350 that they'd scheduled for the next phase of their interview process. So we've had 2 events similar to that. And that could be a career fair, at the workforce center or career fair at their place of employment. Rapid response activities, probably not the most favorite topic to talk about for those. This is a service that's available for companies that are downsizing. Spirit most recently has gotten some news within the Wichita market of downsizing their workforce, specifically in their administrative positions, and we offer a service called Rapid Response to those employees that have been displaced. And this service involves giving them a brief understanding of all the services available within the system, also an overview of their unemployment benefits and how they qualify for that, and the processes tied to that, getting them linked up with other businesses within their community or maybe within the state if they're interested in relocating that can use their skill in their place of employment. So we do that to affected potential employees of the business. Probably one of the most interesting things that we've had the pleasure under Secretary George and Mike Copeland's leadership is to work on collaboration and specific collaboration events with fellow agencies here in Topeka and within the state. One of the most recent ones is a collaboration with the Department of Children and Family. We actually meet bi-weekly with their leadership, but what we're trying to do is engage those people, those Kansans moving on to TANF or food assistance benefits. We're trying to engage them early in their process and engage them within their job search, their skill enhancement and stuff early in their process. Not wait till they've been on those benefits for a long period of time. Most recent successes, and this one just came in a couple weeks ago, where a children and family client came into the Topeka Workforce Center as part of their prerequisite going on to benefits, had to do a few things, but we did a skill assessment on that individual, looked at his background as far as his work experience. He was a certified welder, had about 3 years experience in the welding field, and he was placed that day into a welding job here in Topeka. And we see that going on all across the state, that if we can get them engaged early in their process, that we'll see a lot of benefit to that. Our partnership or collaboration with Department of Labor obviously has many folds to it, but some of the highlights that we're attempting to work on is engaging the person going on to UI benefits early in their benefit process. So when a Kansan is applying for UI benefits, they're receiving their initial claim package. In that claim mailing, we're also inserting flyers about the Workforce Center and the services available at the Workforce Center, the next steps that they should be looking at. As a person progresses on their UI benefits, we're actually starting to require engagement, and this is you're on unemployment for up to 26 weeks. This is like at week 14, we're requiring engagement, that they now must engage in the Workforce Center, create an account on Kansas Works, do an interest and needs assessment. Let's work on your resume. Let's help you with your job search. So hopefully we'll see some positive results with that also. As part of the federal emergency unemployment compensation package that's through the federal government, that goes beyond the 26 weeks period. If the individual goes on to that set of benefits, they are required also to engage within the Workforce Center on their job search. So we're trying as much as possible to increase that interaction with the Workforce Center and obviously get back to employment. We have our partnership with the Department of Corrections. Those individuals who have been incarcerated, we're starting to work with them 6 months prior to release, talking about where are you going to go, how can we help with your resume, what skills do you have, what skills do you need, So that's 6 months prior to release. Upon release, we're actually following that individual back to their home or to their residence within Kansas and linking them up with the workforce center to get them employed. We can reduce recidivism research has shown us if we can get them employed even quicker. So that's a big goal with that. And as a transition to Zoe, probably one of our biggest collaborations that we have and have received national attention because of this collaboration. We have a shared position between the Kansas Department of Commerce, Workforce Services, and the Kansas Board of Regents, which I guess defines or help catalyze that relationship between training within the community colleges and technical colleges and those things needed by our Kansas employers and our job seekers. So it's my pleasure to introduce Zoe.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm Zoe Thompson. I am a joint employee with the Kansas Department of Commerce and Kansas Board of Regents. That's actually been a liaison position between those two agencies since 2004. Many of you probably know one of my predecessors, Blake Flanders, who's now Vice President for Workforce Development. So I have 1 foot up here, upstairs at the Board of Regents, and 1 foot downstairs in the Department of Commerce, working with Mike Copeland and Mike Bean and all of the other colleagues at the Department of Commerce. And it really provides us a great opportunity to be able to, a unique perspective, to keep the economic development issues, the workforce issues, the education issues, really look at those things in a cohesive way. Things like the skills gap and how to provide employers with the skilled, certified workforce they need. So those are the kinds of issues we're constantly working on together. And as Mike mentioned, this position was recognized nationally last year by the Brookings Institute as a best practice. So Commerce and KBOR also partner on many initiatives. One of them are our university partnerships. Many of you or all of you are familiar with the engineering initiative that's supporting an increase in the number of graduates from our 3 research engineering universities, Kansas State University, University of Kansas, and Wichita State University. And the goal is move those graduates into jobs with Kansas engineering companies and jobs that stay in Kansas. So each university has committed to increasing the number of graduates they produce, and the cumulative goal by 2021 is 1,365 engineering graduates. Our goals for those universities include not just more graduates, but graduates that stay in Kansas and also work in Kansas. Another program I'd like to talk for just a minute about is the Innovation Growth Program. This has evolved from an older program, which some of you may be familiar with, that was called KTEC, Kansas Technology Enterprise Corporation. So innovation growth is a result of tightening up that program. That old program had 15 or so partners, had a budget of $5 million or so. We're much more leaner and much more focused now. This program is focused on leveraging more resources for Kansas through our research universities with a budget of $1.25 million this year. And we have multiple accountability points. A steering committee that's made up of representatives from both Department of Commerce and the Board of Regents oversees the activities of the universities, makes funding and other recommendations to Secretary George. We're focused on leveraging these more resources for Kansas through culture change at our Kansas research universities, emphasizing results that track the governor's strategic plan and your legislative intent on growing the economy through university research. So we have 2 guiding principles now, this new structure does, that guide these universities in this program. Leverage economic development opportunities at our research universities and change the culture. So we are assessing all of our partners in this program using metrics that will help show us how this is being accomplished. Some of those metrics for culture change include: what is the involvement at the university? Does the president know about this? How is the commercialization taking place? What resources are you putting towards this mission at your university? how are entrepreneurship opportunities being created and other opportunities for student involvement. Again, more opportunities to leverage the resources of our universities to keep jobs in Kansas. I would like to share a really quick little anecdote with you about one of our partners, the Bioscience and Technology Business Center. They've been working with a Kansas foster care agency in the development of unique software that matches foster care children with the homes in which they're placed. They are working with this agency and with the KU School of Social Welfare and working on seeing if they can create a software company whose sole product would be this software. So they're developing a private venture, commercializing this venture that has started at the Bioscience and Business Technology Center. Another thing that we do at the Department of Commerce is staff the Kansas Works State Board. And for those of you who maybe, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but just a little reminder that it's the governor's board. He appoints the members of that board, includes business members, agency members, educational institutional members, organized labor, and so on. So we're focusing, the board is focusing on our highest workforce priorities and providing better services at lower costs for all Kansans. And at the board's last meeting in July, at the very end of July, they approved a new vision and mission statement, which you see up there, that focuses on goals that highlight an efficient and aligned and effective workforce system, providing measurable value on investment. So what does that mean? The board is interested, I believe, in supporting initiatives that continue to help businesses prosper and grow jobs to build a skilled, certified workforce. And one way we're moving towards that goal is encouraging employers to sign the Department of Commerce Skills Pledge and prioritize hiring employees with industry credentials to continue to ensure that our workforce system is accountable and transparent and delivers the performance that you and all of our employers expect. And last, I'd like to take just a minute to talk with you about the Accelerating Opportunity Program. This is another great partnership between the Department of Commerce and the Board of Regents. It's called Accelerating Opportunity Kansas, and we refer to it as AOK. I heard a little comment earlier from the back of the room about not everyone having the same education. This is one initiative that maybe will help some of those people. This has been funded nationally by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and 6 other philanthropies. And we take students without a high school diploma or a GED and co-enroll them in career technical education, so at our community and technical colleges, so they receive their GED and technical skills and an industry credential at the same time in an accelerated career pathway program. And this initiative is involved more than just collaboration between those two agencies. We recently signed an MOU with the Department for Children and Families for almost $2 million to support tuition scholarships for these adults enrolled in this program that are qualified under TANF, Temporary Aid for Needy Families. So this initiative is yet another way that we're addressing the skills gap and a need for more skilled, certified employees in the talent pipeline to help fill our Kansas employer needs. And this is another initiative for which Kansas has been recognized nationally. And I'd like to just leave you with just a few statistics on our results. We started in January of 2012, and we are the smallest state by far in population. The other states we started with were North Carolina, Illinois, and Kentucky. From January 2012 to June of this year, almost 1,500 students had been enrolled at 12 community and technical colleges. Over 2,000 industry credentials had been received. Almost 800 12-credit hour pathways had been completed, and over 6,000 Kansans had jobs. Thank you very much.